Ever wonder what happens to a foul-mouthed Dublin mammy after 15 years of pure chaos? Mrs. Brown's Boys was never really about clever jokes. It was about a house full of shouting, love, and a woman who could not stop meddling even if her life depended on it. You laughed until your sides hurt, and somewhere in all that madness, you probably fell for every single one of them without even noticing. But here is the thing. One of these cast members walked so far away from comedy that you will not believe what they do for a living now. Others changed so much, you might not recognize them if they walked past you on the street today. Some kept the same warmth, the same wit, and the same faces we remember, while others turned into completely different people once the cameras stopped rolling for good. Stick around, because by the end of this list, you will never watch this show the same way again. Number 1, we have the person who put on a dress, a wig, and turned himself into one of the most loved women on television. That is Brendan O'Carroll, born in 1955 in Finglas, Dublin, and just 55 years old when he first stepped out as Agnes Brown, the loud, nosy, fiercely protective mammy who could not mind her own business if she tried. Her floral dresses and sharp tongue made her impossible to ignore. And underneath all the interfering, her love for the family always shone through. He did not just play her either. He created her, wrote her, and built an entire show around her sharp tongue and relaxed, direct style of talking straight to the audience. As of 2026, Brendan is 71. Away from the wig and the cardigan, he has worked as a comedian, novelist, writer, and producer, and he is married to co-star Jennifer Gibney. 15 years have passed since Agnes first walked into our living rooms, and somehow that cheeky Dublin grin has not aged a single day. Number 2, we have the woman who was playing her role on stage long before television ever came calling. That is Eilish O'Carroll, born in 1952 in Dublin, and 58 when she became Winnie McGugan, Agnes's loyal neighbor and full-time gossip partner, who is kind, trusting, and always half a step behind whatever ridiculous story Agnes is telling. She did not need a big punchline. One confused look, one awkward pause, was enough to steal the whole scene. What most people forget is that Eilish is Brendan's real-life older sister, which is exactly why their timing on screen feels so natural and unforced. Now 74, she has written her own one-woman show called Live, Love, Laugh, settled into a quieter life in West Cork, and proved there is a whole career waiting outside Finglas once the cameras stop rolling. She still stays closely connected to family, theater, and comedy, even from a much quieter corner of Ireland than the one Winnie ever lived in. Number 3, we have the actor who married his own on-screen wife in real life. And yes, it is exactly as sweet as it sounds. That is Paddy Houlihan, born in 1983 in Finglas, Dublin, just 27 when he took on Dermot Brown, Agnes's son who never quite catches a break no matter how hard he tries. Every job Dermot took, every plan he cooked up, every strange costume he squeezed into, ended in some kind of glorious disaster, and Paddy made you root for him anyway, with his nervous energy and clumsy confidence. Today Paddy is 43, still writing for the show behind the scenes, married to co-star Emily Regan, and raising twin daughters in a house that is apparently far calmer than Dermot's world ever was. Number 4, we have the man who spent years playing the grumpiest chair in Finglas without saying more than a few muttered words. That is Dermot O'Neill, born in 1952, 59 when he became Grandad Brown, the permanently fed-up father-in-law who was always first in line for Agnes's sharpest insults. He barely needed to speak to get the laugh either. A tired stare, a muttered complaint, or one perfectly placed pause did all the work for him. Outside the sitcom, Dermot spent much of his career in theater and live comedy. Now 74, he has also opened up about health struggles, including hip surgery, a much quieter and heavier chapter of his life than anything Grandad ever showed on screen. Number 5, we have the lad in the tracksuit, who somehow made you love a character who was clearly up to no good. That is Danny O'Carroll, born in 1983 in Dublin, just 27 when he became Buster Brady, Dermot's street-smart best friend and the king of every dodgy idea in Finglas. With his baseball cap and fearless swagger, Buster became one of the show's most instantly recognizable faces, and Danny never let him tip into feeling truly troublesome. He is Brendan's own son in real life, married to co-star Amanda Woods, which means the chaos on screen runs straight through the family off-screen too. Now 43, Danny has kept himself in the spotlight, even competing on Dancing with the Stars, trading Buster's tracksuit for something a little more sparkly, and living in Donegal with his own 2 sons. Number 6, we have the son who stayed the most level-headed while everyone else around him lost the plot completely. That is Pat Shields, born in 1959 in Dublin, 42 when he played Mark Brown, Agnes's eldest son, and Betty's hard-working, sensible husband. While the rest of the Browns caused chaos, Mark just tried to stay calm and survive it, and his weary expressions usually said everything that needed to be said. Now 67, Pat has kept the lowest profile of almost anyone on this list, quietly stepping back from the noise while still returning for the Christmas specials and stage shows, proof that not every cast member wants the spotlight forever. Number 7, we have the posh daughter-in-law who married into a family that never once made her feel comfortable. That is Fiona O'Carroll, born in 1980 in Dublin, 30 when she became Maria Brown, Dermot's warm-hearted wife and Hilary Nicholson's well-spoken daughter, who soon learned exactly what she had married into. She is Brendan's real daughter in real life and a mother of 4 sons. After her marriage to former co-star Martin Delaney ended, she spoke honestly and openly about rebuilding her life and rediscovering herself from scratch. Now 46, Fiona has shown fans a side of her story that had nothing to do with scripts or punchlines at all, choosing honesty over the polished version of family life that Maria always tried to keep up on screen. Number 8, we have the wife who was never afraid to put Agnes Brown herself back in her place. That is Amanda Woods, born in 1981 in County Donegal, 29 when she played Betty Brown, sharp, stylish, and always ready with a comeback whenever Agnes crossed the line. She built a whole online life around fashion, beauty, and family, and shares 2 sons with Danny O'Carroll, including her own son Jaime, who plays her on-screen grandson Bono. If that sounds confusing, that is because this family tree is somehow even messier off-screen than it is on it. Now 45, Amanda remains one of the most recognizable and outspoken faces to ever come out of Fingless. Number 9, we have the priest, who probably prayed for patience every single time Agnes walked through his door. That is Connor Maloney, 40 when he became Father Damien, the younger priest sent in to serve the people of Fingless and test his faith along the way. His screen work has quietly grown far beyond the parish, including roles in Cruella, The Guard, and Netflix's The Diplomat, along with voice work in video games and animation. Now 55, Connor has built a career that stretches well past the collar, showing that sometimes the smaller characters on a show go on to the biggest and most surprising projects of all. Number 10, we have the doctor, who probably regretted every single house call he ever made to that family. That is Derek Redden, around 45 when he first appeared as Dr. Flynn, the local doctor forever caught between Granddad's complaints and Agnes turning a routine visit into a full-blown family performance. Derek kept his personal life almost completely private, and even now, around 60, very little is known about his work beyond the series. Some cast members chase the spotlight after a role like this. Derek simply let the work speak for itself and walked quietly back out of the picture. Before we go further, if you are enjoying seeing where this cast ended up, drop a comment telling us which character you loved most growing up. We drop new stories like this every 2 days, so make sure you are still around for the next one. Number 11, we have the son who walked away from the show while it was still at the height of its fame, and never once looked back. That is Rory Cowan, born in 1959 in Dublin, 52 when he became Rory Brown, the sharp-tongued son running the local hair salon who could handle his mother's meddling better than most. He left the production in 2017, wrote a book, spent 5 years playing a role on Fair City, and then made a choice almost nobody in show business makes. Now 67, Rory has fully retired from acting, saying he would rather travel, meet friends, and enjoy his life than sign another contract that ties him down. 15 years after the show began, he is the one cast member who chose peace over the spotlight completely. Number 12, we have the hairdresser who left comedy behind for one of the most serious jobs imaginable. That is Gary Hollywood, born in 1979 in Glasgow, Scotland, 31 when he played Dino Doyle, Rory's stylish salon partner with a lively Scottish edge and a sharp comeback for everyone. After leaving the show, Gary stepped away from acting entirely and became a funeral celebrant, guiding grieving families through the hardest days of their lives with the same calm confidence he once brought to a salon scene. Now 47, married with 5 children, the man who once got laughs in a hair salon now spends his days offering comfort at funerals, walking families through the worst moments of their lives instead of making an audience laugh, and you would be hard-pressed to find a career pivot more unexpected than that. Number 13, we have the quiet face from the pub who never needed the spotlight to belong in every scene. That is Emily Reagan, around 22 when she played Barbara, Maria's easygoing friend from Foley's Pub, understated and relaxed even in the middle of Fingless gossip. She married co-star Paddy Houlihan, and together they are raising twin daughters far away from any cameras. Now around 37, Emily has kept her life almost entirely private since the show and its 2014 film, proving that not everyone from this cast wanted fame to follow them home. Number 14, we have the actress who played the poshest woman in Fingless, only for someone else to take over the role a little later on. That is Susie Blake, born in 1950 in London. In her early 60s when she first stepped into Hillary Nicholson, Maria's disapproving mother who saw the Browns as far too common for her liking. Outside the sitcom, Susie is widely known as Bev Unwin in Coronation Street, and for her long working relationship with Victoria Wood. Now 76, her stage career has included Wicked and Handbagged, along with numerous touring productions, a reminder that Hillary was just one small stop in a very long and busy career. Number 15, we have the woman who eventually took over that same disapproving mother role and made it entirely her own. That is Sorcha Cusack, born in 1949 in Dublin, 61 when she stepped into Hillary Nicholson and brought her own dry, precise sense of comic timing to the part. Coming from the famous Cusack acting family, Sorcha spent decades working across television, film, and theater long before and after this role, including her well-known part as Mrs. McCarthy in Father Brown. Now 77, she remains one of the most respected names to ever pass through Finglas, even briefly. It has now been 15 years since this show first aired, and if you do the math, some of these actors were barely into adulthood back then. That gap between who they were and who they are now is exactly why these updates hit differently once you sit and think about it. Number 16, we have the cast member who grew up entirely on camera, right in front of you. That is Jaime O'Carroll, born in 2006 in Dublin, only 4 years old when he first appeared as Bono Brown, Agnes's much-loved grandson and one of the smallest members of the family. Viewers did not just watch a character develop, they watched an actual child become a teenager, season after season, right there on screen in front of everyone. He is the real son of Danny O'Carroll and Amanda Woods, and Brendan O'Carroll is his actual grandfather. Now 20, Jaime has thrown himself into rugby at youth level in Ireland, trading Finglas for the pitch, and for longtime fans, watching him grow up in real time became part of what made the show feel so personal. Number 17, we have the woman whose big personality could fill a scene before she even said a single word. That is June Rogers, born in 1959 in Dublin, 51 when she played Buddy Flanagan, one of the loud, gossiping locals who fit perfectly into Agnes's noisy world. Outside the show, June spent decades as a comedian and stage singer, performing live long before Mrs. Brown's Boys ever existed. Now 67, she still performs live today, proving that Buddy was never really a stretch, just June being June with the cameras happening to be rolling. Number 18, we have the boyfriend, who was clearly far too serious for this family and knew it the entire time. That is Mike Pyatt, around 45 when he played Professor Clune, Cathy's psychologist boyfriend who never once looked comfortable sitting in that living room. Mike has kept an extremely low profile since the show ended, with almost nothing public known about his life today. Now around 60, for most fans, Professor Clune remains the only role they will ever connect him to, and that seems to suit him just fine. Number 19, we have the priest, who somehow needed even more patience than the one before him. That is Gary Lilburn, around 50 when he played Father Quinn, trying and often failing to keep his calm around Agnes and her endless, shameless questions. Since then, Gary has built a strong supporting career in well-known shows like Bad Sisters and Catastrophe. Now around 65, his work has quietly spread across British and Irish television well beyond that one small parish in Finglas, proving that a supporting role can carry a career just as far as a leading one. Number 20, we have the landlord, who had already heard every piece of gossip in Finglas twice before you even walked into his pub. That is Shug Roberts, born in 1960 in Manchester, around 50 when he played Mr. Foley, standing behind that bar through every family argument the Browns ever had. Away from the show, he has appeared in 24-Hour Party People and Coronation Street, and even co-wrote a football song. Now around 66, Shug proved that sometimes the quietest character in the room has the most interesting life going on outside of it, long after the pub in Finglas closed its doors for the last time. Number 21, our final name, is the one person who might understand Agnes Brown better than anyone else alive. That is Jennifer Gibney, born in 1964 in Dublin, 46 when she became Cathy Brown, Agnes's only daughter and the most level-headed one in the entire family. Before acting, she worked in a bank and the civil service, later training at the Dublin Oscar Theatre School to chase something bigger. She married Brendan O'Carroll in 2005, meaning the woman who plays Agnes's daughter on screen is actually married to the man who plays Agnes herself. Now 62, Jennifer has spent 2 decades standing beside the man behind Agnes Brown, both in front of the camera and long after it stops rolling, which makes her one of the very few people on this list who has watched the whole story unfold from both sides at once. If any of these stories caught you off guard, share this video with someone who grew up watching this show every single week without fail. Which cast member surprised you the most? Type their name below before you go, and subscribe if you want more of these then and now stories showing up in your feed. 15 years, 21 lives, and somehow the person who left comedy to comfort grieving families at funerals is still the story nobody saw coming.